That was a very...
Welcome.
Shut the fuck up. That was a very spontaneous and very clean start.
To
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's not
Reddit
accurate.
review.
Fucking hell.
We are here today to review the Reddit.
To revive this series that we'd left sizzling in a pool of boiling shit. The reason we did that is because, on average, the Deep Rock subreddit is kind of ass. That's why. I say that.
Hello, everyone that definitely goes on it.
Yeah, and I'm also saying that despite the fact that part of the point of the way that we're doing this is so that I would also feel comfortable sharing it. Because every example of us doing this before would encompass pretty much everything that had been done pretty much over the last 24 hours, basically, on the subreddit. Which, well, not only did that suck, because so much of it was repetitive or just not worth talking about, we also ended up shitting on a lot of those people, meaning that it really didn't feel right sharing it. I don't know, and at this point, I don't know if we will. I feel like I've already crossed the line. But either way, I wanted to bring it back, not for, like, I wouldn't say the reasons are particularly strong. I did say before we started, I kind of wanted to do something simple. I think it's mainly because this seemed like a good way to try it again. Sort of try it from a different approach to see if this is still something that's worth doing, because it could be a slightly interesting counterpoint to the dev Q&A as sort of like a video. Maybe it's the best. It's sort of almost like it is the most similar thing you can get on the other side. Not that the dev Q&A is completely its own thing. This is a public forum for thousands of people who play the game, but still,
you could look at it as, you know, the dev Q&As helps us get an insight on what the devs think, and the Reddit review would help us get an insight on what the community thinks.
Yes.
And then the tier list would help us get an insight on what we think.
Well, the
combination of the three means that we understand things to at least 3 levels.
The tier list and whatever the fuck we've been doing over the past few months.
Yeah, or like podcast, all that stuff.
No, I mean, I specifically mean the spreadsheet stuff.
That too, yeah.
Because that was kind of the point of that. But that led to the way we're doing this is I've just collected a bunch of saved stuff. I've basically been looking at the Reddit for like since the most recent podcast, and it's sort of all stuff since then, which is still fairly contemporary, right? It's like, you know, previously we'd just go through it and it'd be a thing from the last day, but it would just be so much shit. And I also had like a thought of like, what if we did some kind of like, you know, Reddit support where it would be like, it could be based on things that people like confused about, but then I realized like I'd rather do it where I'm actually collecting interesting things over the course of multiple days, because that's how you actually get a good number of things that are worth talking about. And if it was some kind of thing where we're supposed to be answering people's questions, then they'd probably have been answered already. So just kind of, that would be kind of weird as well. But I think this is probably the best way to do it, which means if it doesn't go well, it's over. As in, this series is over. It's Jova. Either way, I see no better thing to do than to dive into this heaping pile of ass, which is actually not that, because it's an opinion I sort of respect, I think. Yes, it is. I immediately seen what it said, which is that this person has recently finished their gunner assignment grind, and they've just electromine it just sucks, apparently. Downsides take away what the bird is extremely good at and gives you an upside that is annoying to use and has little impact. Gunner has no electric synergy in any of his primaries, making electromine even more irrelevant. Which is completely true. I genuinely think electromine might be the worst overclock in the game. Still. And that's not going to change, because not because it is actually inherently the weakest, it still might be, by the way, but because it is on principle the stupidest. I will never not, whenever this overclock comes up, I will never not reiterate the fact that it's utilizing a status effect that doesn't stack on a burst weapon. It's a very, very simple problem. Now, I should elaborate. You have something like stun in tier 5. That's done as like a combo thing where you hit all 3 shots and you achieve the stun. This just shoots out 3 minelets that all individually electrocute, but they're all just going to be in the same place anyway. Or better yet, 6 minelets. Anyone who does that, I actually kind of respect, though. If you take the 6-round burst of electro minelets, especially given that your magazine size is halved. But yeah, it's just a shit ass overclock, and I respect anyone who agrees with me. It also goes on to talk about crime minds a little bit. That they have an upside which is actually worth working around the awkwardness to get the effect of, and synergistic. That's not a word. You should just say cryo synergizes with every weapon in the game because of damage. But that's actually true. It does synergize with every weapon. My solution would be to have them stick to enemies if you don't take blow for rounds, and give the hurricane tier 4 or tier 3 upgrade that makes the rockets behave like the tier 5B bolts of the bolt shark. Huh. Well, that's weird. That's not my first thought when it comes to what they should change about the hurricane. It's definitely not yours either.
Well, it's just trying to add to the synergy, but it would be weird considering you would have like complete control of it turning, and then you would not that because it's going for electric enemies, and it would be a bit odd. But yeah, I mean, I think he sums it up right. I mean, I think mindless as a mechanic is kind of not great.
It's not. It's.
I'm glad they haven't added any since.
Well, that's kind of been proven, hasn't it? I mean, let's be honest. The best version of it is actually the Hurricane's mine layer system.
Oh, great, so they have.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but it's actually strong. And let's be honest, Electrominus is shit. And I guess the most direct proof, though, could actually be the cryo minutes, because you have cryo bolts being brought in as a recent thing, and they've just completely overridden it, basically. I would almost have to assume that this person doesn't have cryo bolts, because I kind of don't really think there's a reason to use cryo minets. I think the best argument for cryo minets over cryo bolts probably just it's a bit more. It might be a bit more flexible, because you can be a little bit more precise with how much cryo damage you need. Maybe.
Except for that you can't really be precise with it because of the way that it works.
Because it's not precise.
You're gonna throw a lot more than you probably need at an enemy because of how awkward it is. Like you need to shoot exactly the right in front of them with the exact amount of ammo to probably be more efficient. Meanwhile, you could just shoot that crossbow bolt, and that's enemies frozen, and any other enemies that comes nearby will be frozen.
This is very reliable as well, and I would say the only time that you're truly wasting a cryo bolt is if you use it on less than 4 grunts, maybe. Then you're probably wasting them. But yeah, Electrominded slander, I like it. But he does ask what you would do to these overclocks. Remove them. No, but I don't know. I would probably not care about Electrominded. I'd rather just see the Burt get better overclocks. I can't inherently imagine a really great electric overclock for the Burt, so you can just leave it as it is as an example of what not to do.
That's not great.
No, it's not great, is it? But do you have an idea of how you would change it to make it better?
I don't know. Just do. I mean, the thing is, simply having it stick to an enemy would be a bad shout, and then probably having that effect be able to be done 3 times, it's 3 times electric.
If it was a massive spread and they tethered to each other, eh?
Yeah, that would be alright.
They just naturally spread themselves at quite a distance over terrain, and just that's my solution. Anyway, well, that was the first post. That was 2 days ago. So I'm not actually going that far back. Also, the thing that I realised about this format is that this is kind of annoying. It's not just going down through Reddit. I also forgot that I did actually I did use the discussion filter. You might have noticed that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm also not sure if this is actually going to be anything, because I thought it was kind of interesting. Oh, you probably you would have seen it. That makes sense. Someone asked ChatGPT to predict the next season, and he thinks it gave us the Finding Carl season, which is I'm actually going to ignore. I want to ignore the Carl one actually, because both of these it's strange, sort of looking at ideas formed by an AI. But what does interest me genuinely is the second point, which is suggesting a new mission type, relic recovery. Dwarves must search for and retrieve valuable artifacts left behind by a long-forgotten expedition. And then some weird shit about lore and backstory and whatever. But it's only because I remember something that they mentioned once was about one of the first ideas that they spitballed for seasons, an archaeology season, which just reminded me of that basically.
Yeah. I do like how
Yeah.
ChatGPT clearly like like you just read what people want from the season and then put it in an idea, right? Like the primordial behemoth is essentially it pulling from the Glyphid Queen, right? The Glyphid Mother, a giant ancient
It's a
creature.
it's a very basic idea, isn't it? It's like really
Yeah,
basic. It's just
it
like
is.
it's just buzzwords and then like basic stuff. It's massive size and devastating attacks pose a unique challenge for players. It's just
Yeah.
corporate speak, really. But
Well, yeah, because it's literally just an AI putting together the buzzwords that the communities say. Like people want more lore and backstory and long forgotten expedition, stuff like that. It's just yeah, it just saw what people wanted and put it all in together into words and ideas. Which
yeah, I must say I do think Primordial Behemoth is a pretty great name for something. But like almost for something that's not a glyphid, like some other ancient giant creature, but it's just divorced from glyphids entirely. I hope for something that's not a bug, maybe. You know what I mean?
yes,
Because I like the idea of sort of more mammalian creatures almost, which is I think is implied by a lot of the skeletons that you find. You know, given that bugs don't have skeletons like that because they have exoskeletons.
yeah,
Whatever. Let's not give too much time to the our AI overlords.
yeah.
I don't.
They will have the entire future to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. They got the entire future to replace us. As in, what we are doing right now will be done by robots in the future.
It would not be difficult.
It would not be slightly difficult. This is a fun little horrible idea. The number one worst enemy to replace the unknown horror. And he'd say it would be a shocker, and he'd be right, and I never thought of that. Just a little fucking invincible Nados like shocker would be the worst shit ever. Because it would make everything so much more difficult, but it wouldn't actually be a huge threat on its own. It would just constantly just be shocking you and slowing you down. God, this truly is my nightmare. It says other votes would go to Swarmer, Web Spitter, and Breeder. It is still interesting though. I do think that Haunted Caves is now. I don't see why we would be able to get any information about this from someone, but it's still interesting because if you look at the milestone like thumbnail for Haunted Caves, it's clearly indicating that there. I think there were almost definitely going to be multiple different enemies that it would use. I can't remember. I think it was like a Praetorian was there, which is just kind of boring, but then there was also a grabber and a shellback. I think that implies that those were ideas at one point for Haunted Caves, which is utterly horrifying. Which is
And it's just kind of one of those things again where they added it in the past. They were like, all right, we'll get around to bolstering this more in the future. And now we're in the future now, and they're not going back to bolster it. They're adding more things, and they're, going to probably add on to it in the future. Like with the rock box. They're still working at it with the same, we'll add this and then move forward and not go back, which, maybe we could get a unknown horror shocker. You never know. Well, we definitely won't with their current system, but we
I
can
beg your
all
pardon.
dream, can't we?
Yeah,
We can all
you mean
dream
fucking
that
nightmare?
we get an unknown horror shocker.
I called it the unknown shocker. Hell yeah! Thanks, bro. Oh yeah, this was actually interesting. I think I was almost planning on bringing this up on the podcast actually. It's weird that this came up this recently, I guess. And I just realised because of what I was doing when I filtered to discussion, it was obviously going. I was just scrolling through, which means it was actually going to get later as we go up. Or it's going to get longer ago as we go up the list of saved posts. Am I the only one who thinks the game should have anti-bunker mechanics? Which it does. I know everybody likes to win, but bunkers just end all the fun. We barely have to kill waves. You can use it the whole match. Match is a very, very quaint word. How Deep Rock operates. Open a little hole and exterminate everything coming from that hole. If someone asks for a bunker, I won't deny, because I like the philosophy. If it's in the game, it's meant to be used. But as soon as someone asks for it, I just feel like I'm cheating. I don't know. Maybe some new kind of enemy that can enter closed and small spaces. An enemy only lethal in such places. Freeze everybody, poison, or something like that. Some creative way to counter attack bunkers. Not just end it, making all enemies walk through walls. It's just confusing to me how this comes to be your perspective, in my opinion. As in, you can't be playing that difficulties because there's plenty of things that do counter bunkering. Really. But there are. I mean, first of all, the oppressor was actually meant to. I want to point that out. Although I think you might have said that before that it's not actually that great at it. Or you might have said that. It's not. It's weirdly not fantastic. I guess it's because it can do very like linear forward attack that like keeps going. It's very oppressive, hence the name. And also the fact it can dig, I guess, as well. And he's also invincible from the front. That was part of the idea. For it to be counter bunkering. You do have that, and obviously bolt detonations are a massive bunker counter as well if they happen to show up. But then other things like shell packs, if they get in, that's a big oof, big ouch. But honestly, the two most recent additions could almost be considered bunker enemies. I'd say especially the Stingtail. I haven't bunkered since Season 4 came out, but I can imagine being, yanked out of it by a Stingtail. And that would be... and you wouldn't be yanked out of it entirely. You'd be yanked probably into the tunnel, mainly, which is where everything is. Into. Yeah. That sounds fucking awful. And, honestly, even... It's cut, obviously, but even, like, the Glyphid Stalker sounds like something that could easily counter bunkering. If it, like, digs, tunnels up in different places, it can tunnel up inside the bunker. So obviously that was cut. Basically my point is, I don't really have much of a point because bunkering does still make things very easy, but it's hard for me to see how there aren't counters because there definitely are. And I guess that just puts bunkering in a weird place, that it's still sort of considered cheating because it just... Honestly, I reckon the reason why people still don't like it is probably just because it's boring. It's probably not that much of a guarantee anymore. It's just boring.
Yeah, it is. It's boring and easy, right? I mean, it's not always easy, but it is. Situations that spice things up never occur in a bunker, really. You're never really on the fly like all the time. You're just like maybe once or twice, maybe like a thing will occur in a bunker. Like a shellback will get in, an oppressor will spawn. Maybe one every 10 games, a bulk will appear. Right? It's not the constant decision making that is a normal swarm fight.
It's literally just sit and shoot. It's literally right. Yeah, it's just sit and shoot until something gets in that shouldn't, and then it's just panic. I think it sort of sucks the fun on like sort of multiple angles, where it's like it sucks the fun out of just general swarm killing. And also sucks the fun out of those situations where you're actually in danger because it's just spam or just get killed because you actually put yourself in a really bad position when it comes to certain enemies. So it's just kind of weird. I just avoid bunkering for just a lot of reasons, including all of those. It's not just because it's cheating. It's just because it's just kind of whack. It's just kind of whack.
I mean, that's why we don't do it, even though I'm like always drilling.
Yeah, why the hell did I save this? What do bitter gems do? I'm level 66 and I've yet to figure out what bitter gems are for. I think this is actually more in the line of like the kind of thing that we would have made fun of before. Actually. Where it's just I don't quite know why I saved
it. Gems either.
Yeah, neither do we. But maybe that's what I was thinking when I saved it. And I'm just like, people just have this curiosity that almost doesn't. They can't work around it almost. Where it's like maybe they're thinking, oh, this must be used for something, and it just isn't. I mean, you can't see your bitter gem count, which I wish I could, by the way. You can see your error cube count, which is still just kind of weird. But I don't know, why is it... It seems to be difficult for people to just come to the conclusion that something doesn't do anything, There's so much, like, useless stuff in everything, in every game. Some of it's just there. That's fine. But then again, I don't think the natural curiosity is a problem either. Although it is a bit odd that they got to level 66. Like, and it's like, I've yet to figure out. Did you maybe consider the fact that you've been playing for a little bit now? You could consider the fact that maybe there just isn't one. You probably, if there was a use, you probably should have found it by now. So there probably isn't a use. I just like maybe there's a bit of missing logic there as well. But like I said, I do think the curiosity is fine. It's just kind of strange that not many people seem to come to the conclusion that something can just be part of the game at surface level and doesn't go beyond that.
Dead end content.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of dead end content in Deep Rock, but some of it is some of my favourites. Some of it isn't. Some of it isn't benefited by being dead end. By the way, I should point that out. But Bitter Gem's one of those things, one of those pieces of dead end content that I don't ever think about being a dead end content because it's just so perfectly adequate in being nothing. It's just so adequate in not being important.
It's just like a little bit of spice in a cave, really, isn't it?
Like, it's literally seasoning. It looks like, yeah.
It's just a fancy way of getting a little extra gold, a little extra XP.
Yeah. I don't even know if it gives XP.
I think it does, right? It's a bit of both.
Yeah, both. Well, I mean, I always saw it as Bitter Gem gives credits and their key gives XP. It might be somewhat wrong. I think it's partially correct, but I don't know. Help me. Pardon me. Anyway, what a dumbass.
Giant gold just gives credit.
Look at this. This is pretty cool. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Hawk's Rod.
This is
just a weapon framework. Same guy as what?
Did the other one?
I'm a bit wary about clicking on it. Are you sure?
It warns you if it's not safe for work.
God.
Mine's a lot.
Do I keep going? Oh.
That stuff.
Oh my good God.
Yeah.
So this is like that just reminds me of the exclusion zone. So it's fucking eyes, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, this is just bizarre. Either way, this looks like it would be something with forced colours, by the way. So I'm already not I'm a bit wary of that. So why is the model he's found of the car first of all, it's not a carbine. Why is the model he's found of the GK2? Why didn't it have a magazine? Why did it missing the magazine, man? I want to go back though to if I click this, it's going to take me back. Yeah. Either way, I just thought it was a really cool framework. Genuinely, it's an idea I hadn't thought of. It's not insanely unique. It looks like the paint job is doing a lot. Yeah, it is really with the flames and stuff, but still, in general, not terrible. Right? It could be it would probably be a slightly generic one, but having the pipes look specifically like these hot rod style pipes and sort of the bits with holes in, and even the chains could give it a decent but still probably generic one, but a good one still.
I would definitely have a set of it on Driller.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it being sort of a framework that takes inspiration when it comes to in-game sources. It would take inspiration from the drills themselves. There's already sort of being this.
Yeah.
Taking that approach to everything.
Mark 5 armor that has the same things on the back as well. You'd have a quite pipey looking guy.
Pipey one.
Yeah, a real piper.
But it does inspire, I'd say, the idea of just having more animated parts on frameworks, which is I can't believe I'm about to do this. I'm going to have to give the Infected framework, even though on the whole I think it's bad. It is an animated one. It's got movement to it. The Infected framework does move, and it's not the best version of that, obviously. But what I mean by that is there's already slight precedent for that, and having flames come out of your weapons. That's the kind of animated frameworks I want to see. Just set the whole thing on fire, basically, is what I'm saying. Literally, the entire weapon on fire. I don't know, man. I just think it's cool. It's a cool idea. Not bad. Oh, what the hell?
Also, I want that kind of drip on armor. They're really just cringe, but not cringe.
Cringe.
Like the flames. I want a driller with just like hot rod flames on him.
Yeah, man. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Or like, hold on, I suppose this is slightly skewed actually. Sorry about that. Not to you. Alright, Tyler, this is your time to shine. Someone thinks they might be playing Driller wrong. Although spoilers, he's playing him right. Oh, did you? Yeah. So it's like, is it even possible to play a character wrong? I'm used to the game. 35 rounds in, it's not that new. Gunner was my first to level 25. Currently leveling Driller, who is currently 21, level 21. Playing this character, I feel very slow and not too strong. With the Gunner, I feel like I've been. I feel like I was absolutely shredding bugs, but with the Driller, I might only get 50 to 100 kills a mission. I'm using the Flamethrower, Cryo, and Goo Cannon. The Goo Cannon has been my favourite so far. Is there a certain strategy to this character, or is it a skill issue? Thanks. Well, the reason why I said that he's not playing Driller wrong is because he's favouring the Sludge Pump.
Yeah.
Which shows that he's on the right path, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and no, because I think the Goo Cannon reinforces the fact that he's kind of just in there for the kills. That's clearly what he's paying attention to. And I guess the Flamethrower would probably be another example of that. Like, if he was using that, I'd be like, yeah, clearly he doesn't really care about doing much more than that. But, yeah, I don't know. This is kind of the same sentiment the other guy had, which I'm not sure if it'll be on it. It probably would have been on the discussion feed, but yeah, they just see Driller like being clearly a combat orientated one, like because like Scout doesn't get many kills, but people kind of are like fair enough, right? Because Scout is not meant to, but with Driller, there's no reason not to be getting like a solid amount of kills, yet he doesn't. Right? Like, he's just, it's because he's not that, technically. He's not supposed to kill, inherently. He's more crowd AoE control, right? That's the main thing. But look it like, from the front on. He looks really aggressive. He looks like he wants to murder everything. But
it's what I do
more
sort of
sit back, slow them down, and eventually they'll die.
Well,
if no one else goes before them.
I do sort of see Driller as like an aggressive support, like kind of character, because he is definitely. I don't think aggression is lost, especially given that his main sort of support kind of oriented things are being his primaries. They're all fairly close range weapons, so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've just always seen him as like he is definitely not like a huge killer necessarily, but he's still meant to be played somewhat aggressively.
Yeah, but that's the thing: is you're playing a character very aggressively, very close range, very high risk, and you're not getting kills out of it.
Yeah,
and I think that's what this guy and the other guy was kind of feeling like. Why would I play this character who's like higher risk and like lower reward when I can play Gunner? Who, I can kill anything I want from any distance, basically all the time, and can have an immortal shield. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I think this is why the Driller is confusing people recently. Like, new people, obviously, but yeah, it is kind of weird.
I do feel like if you think too hard about what's the absolute best class in terms of how the kind of play style that it necessitates, as in what's the most like objectively useful play style almost, then you'd probably come to the conclusion that it's the play style that Gunner enforces, or the way that Gunner works. You'd probably come to the conclusion that that's probably the best, which is why someone who's really just trying to figure out how to do the best they can is probably just going to land on Gunner or Engineer, and it's really just about who you have the most fun playing. Really, it's pretty simple as that.
Probably the best, like, all-rounder. Like, it's difficult to not like. Engineer has something of everything, essentially, right?
Yeah, and also if you're trying to be very like objective, you'd look at the fact that Engineer always has the most kills and be like, Engineer, right?
Yeah, and even then, though, like, yeah, he's got the most kills, and he doesn't have the negative of traversal ass that Gunner has, right? Like, he's an all-rounder in basically all regards.
And the truth is, if you are good, you're not too helpless as an Engineer when it comes to defense. engineer's worse. It's at his worst, like when you're running and gunning, obviously. But when you're not, he's suddenly very strong. Either way, all I'm saying is, you are playing Driller wrong. If you're just not having fun, then
I think it's fair enough, because I would imagine at that level he's playing Gunner wrong. Like, you don't play characters right in like immediately. Like, it takes a little bit at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to play them correctly as well, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. The point was being he's probably playing the entire game wrong.
Oh dear.
So it's not.
Poor lad.
He's new to the game. Like, it's just kind of how it is, right? Like, yeah.
Whatever. You are playing. What's this?
Is that it?
That's it.
Is that...
I just thought I needed to show you that, and everyone else.
It's fair.
I don't know what it is.
It's
a ferret, right?
Either that or a
weird-looking dog.
The ones that play dead.
I almost said something bad then.
Awesome.
I almost said Lil Tay.
I threw a little bit of that. It's not data.
Oh, possum. Maybe it just did.
Shush.
I like this. This once again, this is a bit similar to the one that we'd make fun of.
I saw that.
Is this normal? Me and my friends are really lucky, and it's just not that impressive. It's just not.
Yeah, that is normal.
When we started, there was a big thing that exploded. So they found a Crassus, and that's all they got out of it. First of all, they found. I didn't even realise.
A meteorite event, and we got play cards. And I mean, interesting how he doesn't mention the error cube, which is like by far probably the most interesting rare thing.
I mean, that's the most common thing in sort of in the realm of these kind of posts. It's sort of like people who a lot of them actually think it's a bug as well, like genuinely, which is really funny. They think it's a glitch. But yeah, it's interesting he doesn't mention that. It's just I do feel a little bit bad, but I'm sorry, I just found it funny.
Most of it is not special, right?
No, it's really not.
A average Crassus mined gold, 4 play cards, so like a single meteorite and an error cube.
Well,
that's all we're looking at.
Like, these two, obviously nothing, right? Play cards and pull flow, nothing. Especially obviously right now.
Yeah.
Error cube is the most significant thing, but
error cube with a Crassus is interesting. If they had lots of gold in a Crassus, like that would have been a step up as well.
Maybe if they found
even then
other things like any of the other free plants to fill out the depository, a bit of gem, tyrant shards, data cell.
I feel like especially with the summer event or any event going on, your team depository can get nutty, right? Like, you remember when ours starts getting ridiculous how many things are in there. Like, we have one of every plant, both ores, probably like a bit of gem or error cube of some sorts,
or both,
and then it just starts getting out of hand. That's when I think you can make a post about your team depository. Not that he knows it, obviously.
Well, that's the thing. So I don't mean to make fun of him, but you should just know it's not that. This is not that crazy, which should just excite him, in my opinion.
It is just funny. It's like, is this normal? And me and my friends are really lucky, which kind of feels like he's trying to say that they are really lucky. That's normally how people go it, but it is just kind of normal.
Actually, someone just said that's a lot of starch nuts, but I'm not sure if it actually is.
9. It's not an unreasonable.
Because it's usually like
the most common round,
like 2 to 4 in like every bunch, and they're also fairly common. Like, I got like 5 barley bulbs once.
Digits
that was pretty cool.
Easily.
When I got 5 barley bulbs in addition, maybe even more. That was pretty interesting. That's not that normal. Love a good barley bulb, but I just hope that I hope that it actually just serves to excite this guy that this is not that much. But whoa, how much more is there?
Yeah.
I hope that he gets a little bit of that out of it. Oh god, do we do this? Maybe. Because this is just a guy who doesn't, like you say, he just doesn't like the end of escort missions. He's talking about the whole finale. And I know you don't like escort, but I actually don't. I've realised I don't know if you hate either half more than the other.
They're both boring in their own ways. Fighting swarms in the most stale environment, and gathering oil shale is always a huge pain in the ass. And then the boss fight at the very end is always the exact same room doing the exact same thing over and over again for like too long. And it's just both are equally bland for many reasons. Um, but yeah.
I feel kind of bad because I don't actually feel like getting into this, but I think he's probably got a lot of good points here, to be honest. And frankly, I'm gonna upvote anyone who shits on Escort Duty. Oh boy, we've got another one of these very soon, very quickly after the last type of post. What is the microwave good for? This isn't meant to diss the microwave enjoyers. Well, guess what? I already feel diss. Just knowing this question as someone who recently unlocked it and finds Catalyst Pistol / Burning Nightmare EPC with Sludge Pump, my preferred primary, genius, significantly better. Maybe I'm using the wrong mods or something, but it feels redundant. The slow is kind of nice, but the spread to nearby enemies means that I should probably make a single shot sludger build, but then the slow is useless. What? So what should I be doing? Just stick to microwave for when I'm running other primaries, or is there a magic combo that I missed? I have my C4 set up for murder and drills for mining, impact axes for my grenade, but do switch to toxin when running crisper or burning nightmare PC if any of this matters. Oh, I don't have any overclocks. Oh. Right.
It's pretty
busy up until last week. I was busy unlocking the weapons. Well, this is a bit of a simple case then of he's probably gonna change his. I'm not saying he's just gonna straight up change his mind, but he hasn't really cracked the game yet. You know?
Yeah, I mean the microwave temperature shock build is inherent. You could do that,
but that build's also like the strongest one and really doesn't rely on an overclock.
Exactly. That's why, without having overclocks, he could use that. But ultimately, I think he already knows he could use the other primaries. But he wanted it to be good with the sludge pump, and that is kind of the tier 5 upgrade plus radioactive, right? That kind of thing is probably the best build for that. So
for me,
he doesn't really have access to
the
best build for the wave cooker.
There is definitely that, and also blistering necrosis, but it's a little bit less of a obvious synergy, because to me that comes down to a specific overclock, but I can't see it working better with either of the other primaries. And then and this is a little bit smaller, but even the super focus lens, the clean overclock, not because that's great, but because the neurotoxin upgrade in tier 5 is like a damage bonus one as well, and that's just the way to get the most direct damage out of the wave cooker, which is not a great idea, but it's still kind of fun. Yeah. Oh well, I think he ended up on the right path. So it seems like the microwave just isn't okay. So it seems like the microwave just isn't very good with the snot rocket. I'll definitely use it with the cryo and the crisper though. Thank you to everyone who gave advice. Okay, so that makes me interested in what people have been saying to him. In that he ended up in the conclusion that
because maybe they did what we did, and without overclocks, it's not the best. Like you can use the temperature shock build without overclocks. Maybe he took that wrong though, and is now saying that it's just bad forever with it.
Yeah. Shane.
Maybe you could scroll down a little bit and find out.
Well, this guy's talking about temperature shock. Oh, this one's talking about radiation, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Alright.
It's usually a combo weapon to pair with the cryo. I mean, I assume there must have been a lot of that, but actually, not huge, not ridiculous amount of comments. A lot of them are replies to each other. I don't know. It's interesting. I just find the wave cooker interesting because of this. There is a lot of this for the wave cooker. It just kind of happens. There's a lot of people that don't get it. Basically, I don't know what I'm really saying, but I have noticed this with the wave cooker a fair bit more than other weapons, which makes sense. It's probably one of the less accessible weapons. Probably one of the more confusing ones on face value. I remember like the very first time I used it, because there's another reason why I'm so tantalized by the idea that one day we might get more weapons, because I really liked when we were getting Gen 3. What I would do is when I would get one of the weapons for the first time, the first thing I would do is just use it as it is, like with no upgrades. So I play on hazard free, by the way, to like keep it sort of fair on the weapon. and then the wave cooker was just not doing anything really at all.
Mm.
And I get, it's very easy to see why in face value it just doesn't click with people immediately, because I almost think there is something in that a lot of people who like it probably forced themselves to some extent before they got to not forcing themselves to like it. You almost have to like push through a little bit how it is at the start, but then you immediately realize how great it is once you get to certain things. I don't know. I just think the wave cooker is a really interesting weapon when it comes to these kind of discussions. Usually, the source of these kind.
Yeah, I don't think it's as perfect as I used to. Like, because it really does come down to temperature shock with the elemental ones, and then or the temperature ones, and then the radioactive stacking of size pump.
Well,
And you can do obviously I think blistering necrosis, right? Like with the single target.
Well, Tyler, that's why I think there might be a bit more you, because the reason, the thing that's correct about that is that those are probably the best things. But in my opinion, the wave cooker is a weapon that's got quite a few things that are still worth using, with not being the best. Some weapons fall into the trap of sort of having a couple of like peaks, and everything else is not worth using. I think there's a lot of stuff worth using on the wave cooker outside of those peaks.
The blistering, what is it?
Well, boiler ray builds still are pretty decent, and I think super focus lens is okay, and also just that's mainly it. It's not a huge amount, but it's slightly more nuanced.
But...
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Some are worse. Some are worse.
Very few weapons are perfect in that all of them are good shouts in like most situations.
And the reason you brought those builds up because those are just they're just the peaks of using it with the tier 5.
That was the thing with the because do you want to get the name of? Did a video on the wave cooker recently. I think I mentioned it.
React to it.
And, I'd rather not, because it's him saying I didn't like the wave cooker, and then I used insert the 2 builds that I just mentioned, but like everyone already knew was good about it, and now I like it. Yeah, and it was kind of like a bit of a waste of everyone's time. Like, genuinely, I think considering he is the driller like YouTuber, he was so fucking behind on that it's like not even funny. Like I don't think anyone gained anything from that video because everyone knew that. But that's a bit of a dig if Diva sees that. But I don't know. It's there's no point reacting to it because it's like, we knew that.
I really did not mean that. I don't want to react to it.
I know.
At this point, I'm not even sure. I was planning on watching it, but now I don't even know if I will after what you just said.
There's nothing to gain from it.
I know I'm not going to learn anything, right? I know that, but I might still watch it. Like, sure. I'm not really going to learn anything from any video other than DLG Historian, So, and lazy. I shouldn't say that. Lazy maybe is cool. Like, it's stuff that I probably could find out or at least into it, but he puts all the information like out in a way that's so delicious, digestible. Yeah, much respect. Okay, this is guy. Mortuary Stuff, Tyler. Which overclock should I choose? He's asking to be like between 2 options, and I don't know. I found this interesting because it's just like it's a bit of a generalization, obviously, but it's kind of just like the fact that he just landed on these 2 is kind of just it's emblematic of the cryo cannon, in my opinion.
He has 2 fundamental issues here, and I would say that, and if I had to comment on this, and I mean you could still, it's within the reasonable, not weird. The overclocks don't matter. You need to switch out the tier 1 to the first one and get cold radiance on that motherfucker. Downvote him. Downvote him. Good.
Oh, look, I think someone's kind of got it for him. He asked if the one with freezing power is really worth it, and then someone says that it's really not. Yes, and this guy doesn't understand how you can even run out of pressure. I mean, he's down here buying for Tune Cooler. I think he's converting him.
There was a waste video that came out recently. I watched. And
Oh,
he talks
hold
about
on.
some
Sorry,
of
we
the
should point
worst.
out that he's using Shatter in both
Oh,
loadouts.
no, that's what I mentioned.
Oh,
He
right.
needs Cold Radiance, and he needs the tier 1 in. He's the one in tier 1. Then honestly, both of those are incredibly good and will carry you through games. Genuinely, like at that point, you're good. You're fine. You'll win. It's the best cryo.
Would you say this is accurate?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what basically wasted in his video, which I'm not a huge fan of. But he basically says the cryo cannon is only that should only be used for cold radiance, and that anything that goes against that and makes cold radiance slightly worse is inherently bad.
I guess that makes me really odd in that in my build that where I use this, I'm not actually going all ammo, which sort of goes against going for cold radiance only, in that I actually take increased range. Probably makes me very strange. People like you.
I don't see why you would need more range.
I've just found that it worked out for me. I don't know. Just get it right overall. No, I've found it out.
Yeah, except that he's not using cold radiance, so you should really tell him to use that. And
I am telling him to use it.
All right.
Isn't it also important that you don't need the tier 1 freezing power?
Yeah, no, tier 1, like, whatever the first thing is, tier 1A, I guess is the way you put it. And then genuinely, I think that is peak cryo cannon.
My worker is done. Okay, we're actually on the final stretch. What's this? What's this then?
It's a cat.
The soggy cat, and it's asking for more Bosco updates, and I don't know why. Season 5 needs to be based on Bosco and Molly. I don't appreciate the fact that we have these people around.
It kind of devalues anyone trying to get anything done.
Yeah, and it's it was. I found it odd when they were asked about Bosco to stream once, and they were like, "Oh, wait and see," and I'm just thinking, Bosco has nothing wrong with him. Bosco, he's so perfectly fine the way he is.
The thing is, though, is yes and no. He has been untouched for like one of the longest things in the game. They have not done anything to Bosco for so long, and as bad as that might be, you should not do it instead of other things. Like Bosco is nowhere close to a priority, and if they do it next season instead of the perk rework, at that point in time, that is a genuine call out worthy. There's a legitimate community calling them out for doing something bad.
See, the worrying thing about that is that could be the case, but it still wouldn't actually be replacing that. It would be because look. What I'm saying is the perk. And by the way, when we say perk rework, I want to point out that's just shorthand for all the things that they've said about that. And because if you put together everything they said about that, it makes it feel like
system overhaul.
It makes it feel like that's what's coming. Basically, if you collate all the stuff they've said about it, it's just shorthand. It's not 100% necessarily exactly what's going to happen.
I'm sorry, but it should. It simply should, right? It was justified before because they were in the middle of a season already. They can't just start an idea in the middle of a season. But the game needs nothing more than a perk rework. That is the key piece of content that everyone is craving for. Deep Rock is up for and is willing to do. And we have now just started, or not just started, but like 2 months in, but we're into this new season ahead. They have no reason not to do the perk rework. Because everyone wants it. No other piece of content is wanted as much as the perk rework. It's just a fact. They want to do it. Everyone wants it to happen. It will be the most beneficial for the game because there's no get that cat off it.
What do you mean?
He's cute.
Look at him. Tell him that he can't have his Bosco updates.
You can't get yet. Like perk rework. Then fine, Bosco updates, whatever. Like or probably overclocks, but then Bosco updates.
Look, whatever that means, whatever you just said, I don't care because I think they got Bosco right the first time anyway. Because it's
Yeah.
not like it's not. Yeah, he hasn't been touched for a while, but that's because he's actually just
Would be
fine.
forced.
It would be
It really
forced,
does.
you know. But I don't even think there's that. Well, there's actually there are quite a few things. I just mean Bosco isn't actually one of them, really. He's in the realm of things that haven't been addressed in a long time. Yeah, but he's not in the realm
Not
of
in
things
the
that
realm
haven't
of things
been.
that needs it.
Yeah, he's not exactly. There's a difference, and Bosco is not one of them. So I'm just kind of like, just leave the poor bastard alone. He's just perfectly fine as he is. Whatever. Stop on.
Yeah.
But it's like, look at this. Look at this. It's a Rockpox suppressor. How does that make you feel?
Stolen.
Yeah. Let's be honest. This looks more like a dreadnought. But that's not why I saved this. I saved it because it just makes me think about: do you feel bad for the
really
kind of
farty.
does?
It
Do you
really
feel
does
bad?
look like a mist.
Do you feel bad for the people who make like ideas like and like fan art and stuff of things that you just know aren't going to happen at all?
Kind of, considering
Yeah.
we did it, like, done that.
But now we know, and it's like especially with people who like make entire like alternate traversal. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't. And now, just now, I sort of had an epiphany of, I guess, I don't. Because I was asking the question, I don't feel bad because the only reason I would feel bad is because I know that these people probably don't know. Point is, we do know, which is why I have no issue brainstorming ideas. Because it's just fun, and I know that people are having fun, but I wonder how they would react if they find out that their idea is never gonna be in the game. You know?
Most people don't have the ego where they assume that if they make something, it will appear in the game, Harry. It's not something like to be worried about. Yeah, we do though. We do have that ego to where any idea we come up with, we're like, well, why isn't it already in the game? What the hell?
Oh dear.
We should get on that.
Yeah, yeah. Like grenade overclock.
No. Fuck grenade overclocks.
Anyway, Rockpox suppressor. This was kind of cool actually. It's just a thing. It's just the fact that the Calamity mod area, they just have the DK2 in it apparently. That's just kind of neat. That's it. And I've seen more than one post about it. There's been a couple, and that's just kind of cool. It's just the closest we'll get to a crossover. By the way,
Probably.
as in, this is kind of what I imagine the Terraria Deep Rock crossover looking like in Terraria, because that's just a GK2 in Terraria. Because
Yeah.
what is the off-topic flag? All right, let's leave. Doesn't seem to be used very often. Oh, what the? Back, please. I think, yeah, okay, whatever. This is one of the pretty much last things. Just kind of back, just kind of. He's trying to make Doomguy, and I just. But the only reason I picked this up. Yeah, first of all, that's weird. But what I picked up on is just like I don't think it actually looks more accurate by having the sleeves off. I don't.
If he had like maybe if he had like the drills on, and obviously the drills weren't bright fucking yellow, and his arms were like actual skin color, it could be somewhat close. At least maybe even like feel like
I do kind of respect the attempt though to use Driller because you can get greenish on with Dawn of the Dread, but then he was looking at like the ab plate and how it's like a almost yellowish, and he actually tried to replicate that. I actually respect the nuance of his attempt rather than just just a green gunner with like a space helmet. That's usually what the Doomguy cosplays are. So trying a little bit harder than that.
Are very odd.
Yes, the blue arms are very strange. They really are. It doesn't make. It's just very, very just wrong. But either way, well done, sir. Well done. Good effort. Okay. Maybe there's someone we can help, and I just realised there's a very strong Driller theme about this. Nice.
I told you. There was in this like two of the posts I swear I saw. Like there was a weird wave of Driller like not understanding like it's just a misunderstanding.
Let's do it.
Right?
So, but I want to do this as a proper, like, actual support. Maybe depends on what people have said, because it's a very simple post. Is it how do I make my sludge pumper dreadnought shredder?
Yeah.
Let's see what people say. He says there's
So it
3
seems to have
ways.
got it all.
Yeah, he's got sludge blast, but he's also got volatile impact, slow and steady. Did he mention blistering necrosis? It can be used blistering necrosis. Does he mention radiation? Oh, he's actually mentioned Tabata. Right. That's weird. Sludge blast. I mean, obviously he's right about sludge blast. Oh god. Why is he going to make a power supply? Gamma contamination. Yep, sludge blast. Volatile impact mixture. I'm going to throw my hand in the ring because they write about someone's got the radiation thing for him. Someone's just sludge blast in general. Someone mentioned blistering necrosis, and volatile impact mixture has been mentioned as well, but not the thing that brings them together, which is the best field for doing this. So I'm just gonna explain it, and then I'm gonna leave a comment afterwards. Basically, my favorite build for Driller for elimination in general is actually it uses volatile impact mixture and blistering necrosis. And on the sludge pump, you take volatile impact mixture and increased area damage, which just seems to work with the blisters really well. And obviously on blister necrosis, you want as much ammo as you can get, and also the contagion transmitter, obviously. But you just want to put as many blisters on Dreadnought as you can, and then charge shot them. And the charge shot's just strong enough to pop them all, and it just does a ridiculous amount of damage. That's my go-to anything killer build, actually, for Driller. It's a great build in general, but if you really want to shred Dreadnoughts, that's how you do it. So
is it not a bit over the top for like just a normal group of grunts, though? Is it not?
For grunts, it's massively overkill.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still do them with single charge shots like normal, so that doesn't change. It's still fine. Yeah. It's really just for like
still probably strong.
Yeah.
They don't seem to nerf them, do they?
It's good against everything, except robots. Because robots suck. But anyway,
yeah, but
I'm gonna.
High impact is not bad against robots.
Oh no, definitely not, because
just don't use your secondary.
No. Unless you have an EPC. Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go. Okay. Cool. Before we go, what the most recent thing is? Very most recent thing.
Recent hot, maybe? Top hot?
Why is it that? That can't be right.
Now top hot.
Oh. Oh wow. Okay. Top. Oh, both top and hot.
It was just the top of hot.
Oh, but you said top.
Didn't know that
hot.
was a category.
Oh, it's right there. Yeah, the Space Beach Party event is live, everyone.
You know what I meant.
So they've got a meme, great memes.
Wow.
What? Think of how rich an Oberon Hearthstone will make you, remembering its cries for help. Attempts to defend itself.
People will do anything to try and make themselves feel guilty about killing AI.
But do you think that? Hold on. I think that people actually do feel guilty.
No, but I think they're trying to make themselves feel it, or they're trying to feel different by caring about it.
I joined a random lobby, ended up playing with like 20 people. My God.
PC players be like,
oh no. Oh, this is such a common thing. This happens all the time. You must have seen at least one of these, right? It's like they're trying to dress them up as the other dwarves. Yeah.
This is why we don't just.
Well, no, I mean, I was trying to find them. Maybe we could get an actual decent like post, but it's all just like memes.
You won't find that in Hot.
No, and that's why I curated what we looked at in this video.
Yeah.
In this video, that is now over. that was some insight into the mind of the community. Maybe. Apparently, there's a lot of driller problems. It's going to be driller tech support, I think, is the theme of this episode. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. This is actually going to be fairly short for us. That's the thing. So I'm sort of feel a bit wary about ending it. I feel a bit uncomfortable.
Under an hour?
About just an hour. Just hit an hour.
It is fine. It's
I know it's fine. No, I don't mean too short. I just mean weirdly short.
Yeah. Well, you know, not much to say about the Reddit nowadays. It's normally whenever there's a bit of that drama that it heats up.
Yeah, I mean, I do still. The truth is, I guess we could have actually done one on that. Really, well, let's be honest. The podcast was all about that.
What's that?
The drop, the extraction thing.
Right, but has anyone even made posts about it?
Not many. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might do this again. I think that is probably still what I just mentioned is a very potent form of how this series has shown up at least once since we discontinued it. When we looked at the female dwarf thing. And I'd like for something like that to happen. I don't know. I think if we were to do this again, I'd probably want to find some better posts. Maybe, as in it could be a little bit more curated, a little bit, even like a little bit less time sensitive. Even it's like it could be over any period of time, really. Either way, I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was terrible.
That's good.
Shut up. Just shut up. End the video for me.
Thank you for watching. This was Reddit review, where we review the Reddit that you'll probably found this on. Hope we didn't find your post and make fun of you.
And
we didn't do much of that this time round.
If we did, don't tell us.
Please be sure to comment below and tell us that we responded to you and made you feel bad about yourself and your face.
Okay, you can do that. Just know that you won't get any sympathy.
We'll see you on a different day than today. Or if you watch a video after, then you will see us today.
That's true. That's true. They would see us. What?
Bye.
Yeah, bye.